For decades, the American car market was dominated by sedans, family cars, full-size cars, mid-size commuter vehicles. But today, the story is very different. SUVs and crossovers now account for the majority of new vehicle sales in the United States. So how did this happen? Why did American consumers shift so dramatically away from traditional passenger cars? This is a detailed look at how SUVs took over the American market and why that dominance may continue. The origins of the SUV. The SUV did not begin as a suburban family vehicle. Early sport utility vehicles were derived from trucks. Models like the Jeep Wagoneer and the Chevrolet Suburban combined utility with passenger capacity. The Jeep brand built its identity around rugged off-road capability. These vehicles were body-on-frame, heavy, and designed for durability, not efficiency. For decades, SUVs remained niche products used for off-road driving, rural lifestyles, commercial applications. They were not mainstream suburban vehicles, yet. The 1980s-1990s shift. The transformation began in the late 1980s and accelerated in the 1990s. Several factors converged: suburban expansion, growing preference for larger vehicles, lower fuel prices, rising household incomes. Manufacturers like Ford Motor Company launched vehicles such as the Ford Explorer, which became a commercial success. The SUV was no longer just for off-road enthusiasts. It became a family vehicle. Higher seating position and perceived safety became key selling points. The regulatory advantage. One of the most important and often overlooked factors was regulation. Under U.S. fuel economy rules, light trucks were classified differently from passenger cars. SUVs often fell into the light truck category. This meant different fuel economy standards, greater flexibility for manufacturers. As corporate average fuel economy standards tightened, automakers found it easier to meet regulations with larger SUVs than similarly sized sedans. The regulatory framework unintentionally favored SUVs. Profit margins and business incentives. SUVs became extremely profitable. Compared to sedans, higher transaction prices, optional luxury trims, stronger resale values. Manufacturers discovered that consumers were willing to pay more for all-wheel drive, elevated ride height, spacious interiors. SUVs offered higher margins per unit. From a business perspective, shifting production toward SUVs made financial sense. This is one reason companies like General Motor Company and Ford Motor Company gradually reduced sedan lineups. The crossover revolution. The true turning point came with crossovers. Unlike traditional SUVs, crossovers used unibody construction, similar to sedans. One of the most influential models was the Toyota RAV4. Crossovers offered car-like ride quality, better fuel economy, SUV styling, practical cargo space. Consumers did not have to sacrifice comfort for utility. This combination accelerated adoption dramatically. Safety perception. Safety played a psychological role. Many buyers believed SUVs were safer due to larger size, higher seating position, perceived road dominance. While real-world safety outcomes depend on many variables, perception strongly influences buying decisions. Marketing campaigns emphasized family protection, all-weather capability, road presence. The SUV became associated with security and stability. The decline of sedans. By the 2010s, sedan sales were declining sharply. Models like the Ford Fusion and Chevrolet Malamba struggled against crossover competition. Eventually, several manufacturers discontinued entire sedan lines in the U.S. The consumer shift was decisive. Dealership inventories reflected the change. Production capacity shifted toward SUVs. Fuel efficiency improvements. Early SUVs were inefficient. Modern crossovers significantly improved fuel economy through turbocharged, smaller engines, hybrid systems, advanced transmissions. Hybrid SUVs, such as the Toyota Highlander Hybrid, proved that size and efficiency were no longer mutually exclusive. This removed the last barrier for practical buyers. The EV era and SUV continuation. Even in the electric era, SUVs dominate. Manufacturers introduced electric crossovers rather than electric sedans. Examples include Tesla Model Y, Ford Mustang Mach-E. The SUV body style remains the preferred format, even when drivetrain technology changes. This suggests the dominance is structural, not temporary. Consumer psychology and lifestyle. American households increasingly value flexibility, cargo space, weekend utility, road trips. SUVs fit multiple roles: commuter, family hauler, travel vehicle. For many buyers, a sedan feels limiting. The SUV became the default choice. Market data trends. By the early 2020s, SUVs and crossovers accounted for well over half of new vehicle sales in the United States. In many segments, sedan options became secondary. Dealers allocate more floor space to SUVs. Advertising budgets shifted accordingly. The market reshaped itself around this demand. Could the trend reverse? Possible factors that could slow SUV dominance: dramatic fuel price increases, regulatory shifts, urban density expansion, micro-mobility alternatives. However, none of these factors currently indicate a full return to sedan dominance. SUVs are deeply embedded in American buying behavior. Conclusion: SUVs did not take over overnight. Their rise was driven by regulatory structure, profit incentives, consumer psychology, technological evolution, suburban expansion, market adaptation. What began as a niche utility vehicle became the defining shape of the American automobile. And in today's market, the SUV is no longer an alternative. It is the standard.